Well, lovely Wednesday evening to you here on the Midnight Movie Talk. Late. I mean, listen, it's 50 minutes late, but that's what happens when you go to a movie and you start these things at 7 o'clock West Coast time. It's a little under 2 hours with previews, that pushes it past 2 hours. And then, of course, driving to and from. We had a little conversation with my buddies afterwards. And the good news is when we have longer, extended conversations after a movie, we see it with some buddies like buddy Paul, Academy Picks on Twitter. I met one of my favorite follows on Twitter tonight. I don't want to say who that is because I want to keep their identity secret, but they were super cool in person. But when you have those discussions afterwards and they're longer, usually means you like the film. And I do like the film. This is a very funny film. It's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage. And you've seen the trailer. I don't need to go into the plot. I'm always going to say that. We're not going to go hardcore into the plot. He plays himself. It's meta. It's all these things. What I like about this film is that it not just is meta within Nic Cage being Nic Cage, it's meta within Hollywood. And there's a lot of really smart stuff that deals with a lot of the elements of the entertainment business at large that works, especially if you've been in this business and you know it backwards and forwards, like, perhaps I do. You really get some of the jokes and they work. There's a few issues. The film's a little long, okay, just a little bit. When I say long, I'm talking 5-10 minutes, but still, that's always a little bit of an issue for me. Will always be that. But Nic Cage is back very clearly. When you watch this film, you see a guy who you say, where did he go? Now, we know he's been making movies, but, Mandy is the one thing that really sticks out, right? Mandy. But really, a bunch of forgettable films that really are basically direct to VOD, in the old days, direct to DVD. And this film does an excellent job of making fun of that, poking fun of the fact that Nicolas Cage didn't go anywhere. He did, but he didn't. He was still here in Hollywood, hoping to get roles. This will put Nic Cage back into the roles that we expect to see him in. You go back to the heyday of Nic Cage, Ghost Rider, obviously. I'm saying when he was really working and he's just getting everything that came his way. He was in every film in the 90s and early 2000s and pushing on. And then it just kind of fell off. And that's what this film does. It really takes advantage of that. The fact that Nick has kind of been washed up and he's desperate to get back in the game with a real film. And in the process of taking Pedro Pascal's money to show up over in Spain, he finds himself. And I think what's interesting is with Pedro, by the way, that he's great in this. Pedro is the best I've seen him. Well, I mean, let's just say this, certainly better than Wonder Woman 84. I don't know what he was trying to do in that film, but then again, that film is by far the worst CBM of all the CBMs. Wonder Woman 84, a truly horrifically awful film. And you had Pedro doing what he was, I guess, trying to do something with that. But here he really works in this role along with Nic Cage. They have tremendous chemistry, which is very vital when you have these two characters that are virtually on screen together the entire 1 hour and 47-minute runtime. I think that this is going to be, without question, one of Lionsgate's biggest hits in forever. This is a studio that needs something, needs buzz. They haven't had buzz for a film. I can't even remember the last Lionsgate movie. I mean, we're not going to go back to Hunger Games. Okay, we're not going to do that. We have to go back within the last few years, and it's very hard to remember. I think John Wick, obviously, but they don't have a lot of stuff. So this gives Lionsgate something to work with. It's a comedy that had my crowd laughing pretty much from start to finish, especially the beginning, that first half hour. There was just massive laughs, stuff I have not heard in a theater in a long time. Lost City had laughs, but it wasn't like this. This was a different level of comedy and a film that really, I don't see how the average person does not enjoy this film. And that's how I like to look at films, not how I just like them or how I review them, but how will the average moviegoer view this film, and they're going to like it. And that's why I'm going to give it an 85%. I give it a B B plus, in that range. I think there's a few things that really could have been locked down even a little bit more. But again, the stuff that works here in this film really is bang on. And that is what you're looking for when we're trying to go to a movie and you're looking to spend your cash. If you don't have A-list, get A-list. $24, 12 movies a month. It's a joke, okay? I used A-list tonight for one of their investor screenings of this film that opens up next Thursday. I'm not sure if they're going to do any more of those this week. Sometimes they do a few more of those early screenings, maybe this weekend on a Saturday. I would check your AMC app, maybe the Regal app, and I would recommend that you go see this film without question. I mean, this is going to be a mid-size hit. This is not going to be a film that opens with 35 million, okay? But this will be something that people will go see. They'll come out and there'll be buzz about, which Lionsgate hasn't had about one of their films in eons. So now they finally have something to work with. Very excited that I think most people are going to be really high on this film. I don't see how anyone is low on it. Let's get some comments. That's how quick we do it. Lock it in and get to it. I love Pedro Pascal, no question about it. I mean, if you love Pedro, then you're going to really enjoy this film because this is him really grounded. I mean, obviously, I mentioned Wonder Woman 84. That's not grounded. That's something that in another universe was going on there. This is very much where he excels in this character, brings it to life and gives it levels that I didn't expect to see. From the trailer, I expected kind of a one-note performance. I didn't get that. I got him and Nic Cage and that chemistry again that really works. And so, Nick, here's a good one. Absolutely, Pig. Pig is a fantastic film, small film, intimate film. Really love that film, especially the finish of Pig. And now you've got Pig and you've got Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and you have two big, hits with the cinephile crowd and the Hollywood crowd. Ultimately, to land roles in this town, you want to be buzzworthy. And Nic Cage now is with this and then going back to Pig. Pig might not have had a huge box office number or all the awards attention that it probably should have had for him, but it put him back on the map. And now this just doubles down and we just keep building again for Nic Cage, where he'll be in these larger films that we're going to see him get a chance to do again. The audience loves this man. There's no question about it. And those people who, really love Nic Cage, and again, for me, going back to my childhood, I mean, guy's been a star forever. Okay. There's also an interesting thing that they do here where he gets his old Valley Girl persona is on screen with it's kind of the CGI, right? Where they create the CGI version of Nic Cage, and it's weird, but it works. And I think that's the kind of humor that I like, is when they take a chance and you swing for the fences and it ends up working. So the laughs here again are really solid. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, one of my favorite films this year. JT, I agree with you. Very fun, very entertaining, and again, audiences will be very happy with this film. And that means good things for Lionsgate. That means good word of mouth. That means a very high cinema score. Cinema score is the judge, the litmus test of how an audience receives a film. So if you get an A minus cinema score, which this will get, that means that people are going to come out and say this film is really good. And that's what's going to happen here with Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And yes, Gingy, no question about that Lionsgate, it needs this. They have it now. They can run with it. Hopefully get an awards film. I mean, I don't think this is going to be an awards film. I could see a little bit of play for Nic Cage in, critic circles, but as far as, Oscars and even Golden Globe stuff like that, I don't know. Maybe Golden Globes comedy, but really Oscars, let's not get crazy here. But it is something that people will not forget. It's a movie that you're going to see, and I don't think you're going to forget it right off the bat. So many films we see, they're in one, boom, out, gone. You already forgot the film. So, actors being actors, Hollywood loves Hollywood. Nicholas, isn't that the truth? We talked about that afterwards when I was out with the circle. Everyone went to see it tonight, and everyone's same page. I mean, this is Hollywood. Hollywood loves these films. And when you have this situation where you have Nic Cage being Nic Cage and all the meta stuff that goes with that, and Hollywood poking fun of Hollywood, then that's going to work here in this town. But I really think it works not just here. It'll work in Ohio, in Texas, in Florida. It'll work across the country. And that is very, important if you want to have solid box office. You can't just have it work in New York and LA. We see that happen so often with A24 films. They do really well on the coasts and they struggle in middle America. This is a film that will do well everywhere. It is very accessible. And those kind of films are the films that do well at the box office because it has word of mouth and it has the accessibility factor that people really want to get that average moviegoer into see a film. WW84 is bad, not the worst CBM. No, man, I'll tell you what. I want to say Anishraj. I hope I please. If I butchered that, I really apologize. WW84 is horrible. Okay, it is yes, even worse than Morbius. Morbius is not great, but when I saw it, I said it's okay. I mean, it's not a terrible film. It's not a great CBM, but as a film, as a vampire film, it's not great, but it has elements that are fun. I think WW84 has nothing redeeming about it whatsoever. How do you make an 80s film that literally has the year 84 and not have but one 80s song in it? There is one 80s song in WW84. I bet you can't even tell me when it was. I can tell you. It's in the club scene. It's in the background. It's Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Welcome to, is it the Terror Dome or it's Terror Dome, right? That song that wasn't even a huge hit for Frankie Goes to Hollywood in the States. It was a minor hit in England. And that's the 180 song that you choose, Patty? That's it? Your movie's called WW84. In 1984, you had all these wonderful songs you could have picked from, literally. And Warner Brothers owns Warner Brothers Records, okay, which is basically you don't even know how many labels that was back in the 80s. That was a part of Atlantic, that was a part of Elektra. All these different labels were under Warner Brothers, which means Warner Brothers could go to their catalog and grab virtually any song that they wanted to and play it in WW84. And there's one song from Patty. Patty chooses one song in the background of club. That movie's terrible. It is absolutely the worst CBM, period. There is no debate to that. Even with Morbius. Wonder Woman 84, okay, not good. It's obviously first film's it just shits all over it. It really does, right? I mean, the first film is so much better than 84. You go, what were you doing? I don't know what happened between Wonder Woman 1 and Wonder Woman 84. Okay. Whatever happened in those 83 other films, it went to hell. I mean, it is literally horrible. What a terrible film. And yes, of course, Pedro plays the Mandalorian. So there is that element. That's a good point, Gingy, that you might get some folks who are like, hey, that's the Mandalorian. I'll go check out the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Another angle that Lionsgate can use. I'm sure they have. Obviously, they have him on the posters. They have him there. It's Nic Cage's movie, but they know Pedro can get a crowd into the theaters based on Mandalorian. And a lot of people saw W84, obviously, even though it's terrible. And so you have somebody that people know and like. You have this combination. Again, the chemistry really, really works. Back to Nick. Just watched Leaving Las Vegas tonight. So committed. That's one thing about Nicolas Cage. And I think this is what the movie does, Unbearable Weight, is it really drills down on that ability to absolutely connect with the character and totally commit to it. And this film has so many moments like that where you're just like, this is Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. And yes, over the top, but that's what you expect. And again, it's so many things about this film work. And it's one of these things that when you go to a movie, you expect it to work because you saw the trailer and said, this is a great concept. I think this can be pulled off if it's done well. I think it's a perfect film? No. There are things that I would change slightly, but in general, I mean, for a director who really hasn't done too much else, I mean, this is a guy, Tom Gormican, who, I look at his IMDb and you're talking about 2 movies. I mean, he directed this and he directed something, I want to say, That Awkward Moment. I don't know if I know what that is. God, I don't think I have any idea what That Awkward Moment is. I got to do IMDb search as I look here. It had Miles Teller, Zac Efron, and Michael B. Jordan in it. 2014. I do not remember That Awkward Moment. I don't have a clue. It was a Focus film. I don't remember that movie at all. But here's the thing, is that for a guy that really, this is his second film, he's clearly a writer because he wrote this, right? The writing is really the in here. And then the direction is strong enough. Is it wow, like a direction that blows you away? No, but at least it's serviceable within what they're trying to do here. Film looks good. Film runs well as far as the overall pacing of it. I mean, pacing is really important to a film, and I don't think it really runs out. I think a little bit at the end we trim here and really get it to more at that 140 range rather than the 150 range. But those are little things. That's why I give it an 8.5 instead of a 9.5, because you see some things that you could maybe do and get away with, and do without is really more the point. Nicholas, you do live for my rants, and those will happen quite often here, especially when you bring up WWE 84, which I think I have it back here. I have it. Here it is. Okay, can you see it? There it is. There's the Wonder Woman 84 box. That is the FYC. Can you believe that Warner Brothers sent a DVD for award season of WW 84? I got it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You actually think that this is at any level an awards film? I mean, if I was a Razzies voter, it would absolutely be on the top of my pile of DVDs. But I'm not a Razzies voter. That would sweep every single thing from here, every single category. Certainly, worst use of music in a film in the history of cinema, WW 84. Let's go to Ambulance. We were talking about Ambulance tonight. We had our little movie Twitter meetup, and we talked about different things. This is one of the things that came up. The spleen rupture scene, the chef's kiss. Oh, no question. That is really where Michael Bay lost his mind. In the middle of that spleen rupture scene, they're doing surgery in the back of the ambulance as it's hauling down the 110. Which, by the way, if you've seen Ambulance, there's a line in that movie that says, "I'm on the 110 South and we're hauling ass. It's going fast." That's what the scanner says. I'm like, first of all, nobody's ever hauled ass on the 110, ever. That's never happened. I could get in my car right now at 10 o'clock and try to go down to the airport on the 110. Boom, traffic. It just doesn't happen. So that was the funniest part of the movie, in addition to the spleen rupture scene. But what you have to love about Ambulance is the fact that Michael Bay just goes for it. He's just crazy. That dude is bonkers, and that movie is insane. And I think that's why I enjoyed it. Ambulance is super fun. I'd say I had more fun at Unbearable Weight. Okay, but I did like Ambulance. They're both fun, entertaining films. I enjoyed them a lot more than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Not even a question. I don't think you could pay me to sit through that movie again, because that film, as we hit all the notes of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then we go back and hit them again and again and again and again and again, and you're like, stop, Daniel, stop coming back to Ratatouille. It's funny the second time, maybe the third time, not the seventh time. Okay, not funny. That's an example of a director duo. Director, we'll call them as a singular unit here. That's where a director needs to pull off and cut down and make your movie 2 hours, lose 20 minutes. And I'm telling you, Everything Everywhere is a better film because it's more controlled, even though it is, I know it's understood to be out of control, but it still needs to have some level of control within that, and you need to just pull it back and ground it slightly. That film just needed to be just toned down, brought down, and simmered down, and then it would be a better film. Morbius, just horrible. The credit scenes, even though the movie is not great, I don't think it's a horrible film. Do I think it's a bad CBM? Yes. But again, when I was watching, I don't even think I knew it was a CBM. I know it's a CBM, but when you're watching it, you don't even feel like it's a comic book movie. So I kind of judged it almost like a vampire movie, but it's not great. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people are saying, but it is not a great movie, and the credit scenes, JT, are not fantastic. I agree. Flash. What's Warner Brothers going to do with Flash? That's the question. You've got a star now in Ezra, the star of the film, who is clearly has some issues, okay? And they need to figure out what they're going to do. They need space. And I think that's why you're going to push it. You need space after the PR nightmare that's happened with him. Remember when he choked the girl in the bar, which we don't want to talk about anymore. Remember that? It was back in 2020 in the middle of COVID. He grabbed a girl at the bar and he chokes her. And it's like, what's going on here? I mean, people have been canceled for way less than that. And then it kind of goes away. And then comes the whole Hawaii thing that just went down. And now Warner Brothers is sitting there going, I don't know what we do here. I mean, that's got to be their thing. They have to be saying to themselves, I don't know what the answer is, but we have to figure something out, and we need time. You need time. You need space. It's like Will Smith. Will Smith needs time and space now. You need to have distance from Will for a little bit. Is he going to come back? Yes. Is it going to be tomorrow? No. It needs to be, I would say, 6 months to a year, maybe on the longer end of that, at least a year, because you need time away. Time heals everything, doesn't it? When you're in the middle of something that sucks and you're really dealing with it in life and you think it's never going to get better, and then you realize over time it gets better, that's what they need. You take that and you inject that into the Will Smith situation. You need time. You've got to put time in there so that Will can come back, because he will get back into the movie business. It's going to take some time. You can't have him come right back out right now. Walked out of WWE 84 30 minutes in, and I watched shit. The fact that Volt, you went back in and watched it at home is very impressive, because I probably would have given up. They sent me a link, and I was, it was an early link. I got to see it ahead of time. And this is, here comes another rant. Remember we talk, and I'll say this every single one of these streams. I have no problem with this. We have a massive problem in this town and across in this industry of people who review films, and they get to see films first and they say they're great because they got to see it first. That shouldn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all when you see a movie first, last, 10 months from now. If you're the first person to see it, if anything, you should be more on guard with your critique, because you're going to be one of the first people to weigh in. And when I saw these first reviews of WWE 84, which were super positive, and then I watched the movie, there's nothing more infuriating than when you see these reviews that say, oh, Wonder Woman 84. And Scott, I love Scott Menzel. He's like a brother to me, but I will always hammer him, and he knows this, for him saying W84 was really fun and exciting and entertaining. I go, what? To this day, I will dig up that tweet. You can Google it, and you can look for it on Twitter. Scott said it was great, and I go, wait, I don't know. I don't have the exact tweet in front of me. I should pull it up. But here's the point: he got a little bit too excited to see the film first. He was one of the first people to see it, and the problem with seeing it first is that you feel like you're beholden to the studios to say something accentuating the positive, because you don't want to not be invited again. So if you get to see WWE 84 first, then you are the first person, and you get to come out and come on YouTube and come on Twitter and say, oh my God, I am the first person to see this. And that's kind of cool. All right. But you still have to stay grounded in the film and say this movie sucks. And that's why I don't traditionally get to see a lot of movies first. Okay. I have a decent social media following. I have a decent, people know who I am and this and that. Okay. This is not all about me, but I'm just going to tell you how it works. Here's how the studios, they don't want someone to come in and see their film first and then come out and say, this movie is not good, because that instantly starts the PR nightmare for them that goes away from the messaging, which is this movie is fantastic. It's one of the best movies ever made. And as soon as you come out and say, no, it's not, then the whole thing falls apart. I experienced a little bit of this with Everything Everywhere All at Once last week on a tweet I sent. I said, I want to start a group saying that Everything Everywhere is overrated, but I fear that I'm the only person who will have the guts to say that. And then one of the Daniels came in and had a comment, and then it went back and forth a little bit, and I let it go. Later he said, hey, I apologize, whatever. And listen, if I was worried about what people thought about my takes, then I wouldn't even, why would you be on Twitter? You have to be just like Teflon. Who gives a crap? I believe this, and I believe that Everything Everywhere is extremely overrated. When you're talking about it as being one of the best films ever made, I've read tweets like that. Come on, man. We can't do this. You can't do that. You can't say that movie is one of the greatest movies ever made. You can say there's elements that are really cool. There's cool things. Maybe it could have been, but it's not, as is, one of the greatest movies ever made. And when I say it's overrated, I stand by that. 120%. I would never change that. I believe it. And the point is that when you start that message of a movie is overrated, where I came in and said everything everywhere is overrated, then what you have is you have an opportunity for people who feel the same way to jump in, right? Isn't that what it's all about? Is when you all of a sudden feel like, hey, I'm not the only person who thinks this, then the message, then it starts to snowball, and then other people start to think that, right? So that's why the studios don't want that. They want to have a message of this movie's great, movie's great, movie's great. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that's what you're going to see for these initial screenings for these movies. 90% of the time when you read a tweet that's in a first screening of a film, not at a film festival, but I'm talking about on the lot at Warner Brothers, a Disney World premiere, you're going to see accentuating the positive tweets, because that's your ticket to another one of those. Is that if I come out and I went to the premiere of The Northmen, okay, so I saw The Northmen on Monday. You guys know I didn't exactly love that film. I don't think it's terrible, but I definitely don't think it's a great film. If I would come out and say the things I said on Monday about The Northmen, only it was at the world premiere, then Focus would say, by the way, you will not be coming to any more of these. But I don't care about that. Honestly, it really doesn't matter to me about going to a world premiere or any of that. It's more about the truth of it, right? The truth of the film to you, in what you believe in your heart about a film. It is not about the kudos and the being a name on a box or the name on a poster. None of that stuff matters. What matters is that people respect your opinion and you believe what you say, versus you just say a bunch of shit because you want to get your name on a box or whatever. It doesn't make sense to me. I'll never be that person. Paul, I walked out too. I was watching from my house. He walked out of his house watching WWE 84. You're like, I'm out of here. I wanted to turn it off, but I have a rule. If I ever turn off a film, I can't talk about it. I can't review it. I'd have to tell you, I started it. It wasn't for me. I turned it off. I did that recently with a movie called Fresh. Fresh is Searchlight Pictures. And it had, what's his name? Oh, God, you know what I'm talking about. It was just out a few months ago. I started the movie. It's about cannibalism. And I started and I go, I don't want to watch this movie. I turned it off and I couldn't really comment on Fresh, because how can I comment on a film I didn't finish? It's not fair. I just would tell you guys, I didn't watch it. I turned it off. I wasn't in the mood to watch it. The awkward moment was a forgettable, cheesy rom-com. Oh, okay. Thank you, Nicholas. You're telling me about this movie, The Awkward Moment, the one that he did before. My date to that movie was awkward. I blame director for that. Well, you know, Nick, I might have to go back and watch this movie, although I don't know. I like Unbearable Weight a lot, but I don't know if it's enough to make me go back and watch the whole catalog of this director, although it's only one film. Tom Gormican has done 2 movies, so I'd have to go back and watch one. Have you ever seen a movie and then you go, oh my God, this is a director that I have never watched, and I want to go back and watch all of their other films? It's happened occasionally. Now, usually, since you've been in this business, if you watch a lot of films, then you really catch these people early, so you're not behind. But there are occasional directors that you jump in on late and you say, oh my God, like, let's imagine you just first watch A Ghost Story. You're like, oh, I mean, just jaw-dropping, just everything that I love. The finish of that film, we talked about it the other night. I love that film. I think it's legit masterpiece, especially the end of Ghost Story. Is if I came in out of that and I said, I need to see everything David Lowery does going forward, and of course I do, and going backwards. And there are directors like that you perhaps missed something from earlier. For me, the Safdies. I mean, the first thing for me for Safdies was Good Time, and then when I saw Good Time, I'm like, okay, I need to see everything they've ever done. And whenever you see that, you get a director like that, then that's an amazing moment. Those are the moments we're looking for. So I'd say this director here, Tom Gormican, very good job. I think I like him a little bit more as a screenwriter than a director, but I think he does pull it off. So that's solid job for your second film. Billy Costigan saying, I seen early screening on Saturday, can't wait. Favorite Nic Cage movie? First of all, for me, actually, in the film brings this up, Guarding Tess. I know that sounds like a strange answer, but when I was a kid, I watched Guarding Tess, and there's something about that film emotionally that really clicked with me. I'll never forget it. I was super young, but I remember watching it. My parents put on Guarding Tess, and I loved Nicolas Cage in that movie. I just loved their relationship. So that would probably be my answer. Recently, it'd be Mandy. I mean, Mandy's such a fucked up movie. It's so out there, but it works. In that score, Oh my God, the gentleman did the score. I know he passed away right after that, and that is a talent. It's such a shame when you listen to that score. In fact, I had a double CD of that score. I gotta find it. It literally had every track on it, and it's one of those things I have, one of these FYC items I love, and I'll never get rid of. It's here somewhere amongst all these other things you see behind me. I love Face Off, absolutely, and they talk about Face Off. Face Off is absolutely iconic. Nic Cage, no question about it. Oh yeah, we got to talk about Fantastic Beasts. We'll probably do one tomorrow talking about box office. I think Warner Brothers is in major trouble here. I mean, major trouble. I think 45, Kevin, is a decent number. I think low 40s. This is a movie that is not going to sell well. I can't believe that they made this film. I think Warner Brothers, I don't know why they did. If you look at the other two, the box office went down from 1 to 2. There's the only logical thing to think here is that 2 is going to go down to 3, and you're just going to be in a place like, why are we doing this? I have no interest. I'm going to tell you right now, Kevin, and everybody, I'm not going to watch the film. I have no interest in seeing Fantastic Beasts 3. I'm at a point now where I'm just going to say no to certain movies, and Fantastic Beasts 3 is a movie I do not want to sit through. I understand it's 2.5 hours long. I don't want to see it. So I'm going to say no to that film, and I'll go look for something else. I'll look for an older film, and I'd rather spend the time doing that. But I think this film is in big trouble. Fantastic Beasts 3 will get an early Thursday night crowd, and then the weekend's just going to go right off a cliff. It's going to go Thursday, Friday, and like that, because the people that really want to see this film are going to jump on it Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, they're going to be like, I'm out. It's not going to do well. We're not going to get a Fantastic Beasts 4. I'm calling it now. There's no chance of it. And yes, HBO Max does need content, so that makes sense for them to make the third. That would be the only explanation I have for it. Because when I look at this, I go, why did you make this? What are we doing? You had Johnny Depp issue. You got to recast it. All these things. As much as I like Mads, I love the guy, but it's not enough for me to go see the movie. I'd rather find something else to do with my time. Another film, or just frankly not even watch a film. Sometimes I'm not in the mood. Right? You don't watch movies all day. Some days you're like, I don't want to watch a film. Well, this weekend, I do not want to watch Fantastic Beasts 3. No, thank you. That's a no for me. After Fast 9, I think the only thing that would get me back in the franchise, they do a crossover Transformers based on Fast 9. There's no reason to think that we can't just go to that level because the movie is, Fast 9. I don't even know how that script, literally, I could grab anyone who's watching now and 3 people, grab 2 of you guys. Let's sit down and we talk about it. Let's write a better script. We could easily write a better script than Fast 9. With literally shooting the shit for 10 minutes, we could come up with a better skeleton of a script than what they shot for Fast 9. The fact that they're in outer space, the Fiero, why not just have Transformers? Why not have Bumblebee or Optimus Prime or whoever the hell else, the Transformers? Have them jump in, they fly in, and all of a sudden there's your crossover. We're at the point where it's so ridiculous. This movie has lost all measure of groundability that it's a joke. So to have all of a sudden Optimus Prime show up in Fast 10 would make perfect sense to me. Brie Larson's in. They're just trying to get anything in, and then people always say, why are they making another one? Because they always make money. They might not make as much as they used to. Fast 9 was lower than, they definitely need Hobbs and Shaw back in this franchise. But since they spun it off, I think that they need other people to come in. And they're like, Charlize Theron, her character's kind of done with that, right? So we got to bring in Brie Larson. So they're just trying to just keep it going. And if you're making money at it, why would you not just make another one? I don't want to see it. I'll go see it. I'd go see Fast 10 before I go see Fantastic Beasts 3. How about that? Everything gets better with time, except W84, Paul. That is so true. It gets worse. I will never revisit that film. And I'm never going to sell my FYC screener of it. There it is, my FYC screener of Wonder Woman 84. That is a rarity right there. What the hell were you thinking? Get deep here in movie talk. I should start doing these with the bourbon. That would be good. Instead, I've got by the way, this is not a paid advertisement, but I can tell you right now that I go to Walmart for one thing. I'm only going to admit this once. These are the best things in the universe. This is called Clear American. It is a spritzer from Walmart. These things rule. Okay. They only sell one flavor here, black cherry. Best thing. I love it. Every night I have 5 of those. No alcohol. I probably should do that. I walked out of my house. Yeah, it's an HBO Max. Yeah, absolutely. Doctor Strange news. So I'm hoping I sent the RSVP. I should be seeing this on the 2nd. That's the Monday night. Now, here's my thing. The first horror movie in the MCU could be, as we know, with Sam Raimi. Here's my thoughts of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's a lot of words. Is that you have a movie they're going to screen on a Monday and it opens on Thursday. That's an unusual window for a Marvel movie. Usually Marvel movies are shown at least a week before. Like I would say the week before that. So let's say the Monday before, that would be end of April. I wonder what's going on here. When I got that invite and it says the 2nd of April, May, is that made me think, wait a second, there's a couple things there's two things that could happen here. One, there's a lot of spoilers, which I think we can know that's probably the case. But the other thing is are they a little worried about the word of mouth of the reviews? Because if you're going to show it a little bit later, you might have more worry about the film. Now, traditionally, I love seeing a film the week of. I don't want to talk about a film, multiple weeks ahead of time. That's too much because you guys, I'd rather have you see it and we could have a conversation about the film versus I see it and then you have to wait for 3 weeks to see it. So this case, we're going to see it a few days before and we'll have a reaction of the film. But I just wonder why it's a later thing. Usually it's the week before for Disney. This week they pushed. So I'm a little curious about that. Opinion on Alex Garland. I did not love Annihilation nearly as much as Ex Machina. I love the score of Annihilation. I love elements of Annihilation. I don't love the film as a whole. I like that it goes for it. I think it's a Paramount movie, if I'm not mistaken. Paramount really said, go for it, Alex. Make this bizarre sci-fi film. But I don't think it works as well as some others do. But I do love Ex Machina. So I'm excited about Men. That said, I talked to a source who saw Men already in a test screening, and I heard some very interesting things I don't want to get into, but made me maybe lessen my interest in it. Even though I love Alex Garland, I'm going to see Men. But I wonder, there's something that I was basically led to think that maybe I won't love it as much. We're going to find out. I don't really want to know, though. Whenever sometimes I get sources, they tell me, hey, this is what happens. And don't tell me that. I don't want to know. And that's why when we talk about these things here, I don't want to go deep dive on Unbearable Weight, because if you haven't seen it, let's not talk about plot points. Let's just talk about overall thoughts of the film, and it works. Okay, at the end of the day, isn't that all you need? Isn't a tweet sufficient for reviews? Who reads a 500-word review anymore? Seriously. I mean, do you know anybody that reads them? I mean, it's great if you're doing a thesis on a film, but for the rest of the people who want to sit there and read a 500-word that literally includes 300 words of plot, of summary, no, that's why tweets are everything now, or quick little takes. It's not this long thesis and papers on films. I mean, it's fine if you're really into a film, but I'm saying in general, the average person just wants to know, is it worth my time? That's it. Boom. Yes, done. Now that Warner Brothers is under the new leadership of Warner Brothers Discovery, what can we expect for the future WB? I don't know. Listen, I really respect WB for being very aggressive in their storytelling. And I know that a lot of people do not love what happened with Zack Snyder. I get that. But one thing that you have to admit about Warner Brothers is they allow their directors to make the films they pretty much want to make. When you look at Batman, you look at Matt Reeves, what he did with that film, there's no question that he was allowed a leash. He gave him a really long leash, make your film. I think they came in and said, you got to put Joker in. That's one thing I saw. There's a few things that Warner Brothers, of course, is going to come back and say, you have to do this and this for us because we gave you the leash that ran forever. So you had to respect Warner Brothers for allowing their directors to make the films they want to make. So that is really where it all starts and ends for me. So I hope they continue that pushing the boundaries that Warner Brothers does more than other studios, without question. Doctor Strange is more spoilers than Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home. Well, I don't know what's going on. This is the only screening part. Well, okay. Vault, here's what's happening. I can tell you, I can confirm this. So they're doing press day. Press day is where you talk to the actors in the film. So you say, hey, Olsen, you're here, and Cumberbatch, you guys, the two of you are going to talk to him. And when they have them on there, you know, you've seen the movie, so you can talk about the movie. Apparently, Disney's only showing parts of the movie, like scenes. They're not showing the whole thing for the people that are doing the press junket, as they say. So the press junket will now be just people saying this, and this, and you don't even know the whole movie. So that's very interesting. They did that with it was another Marvel movie. I can't remember what it was. I want to say Black Panther. They did it for another Marvel movie just like that. Certainly one of the Avengers, if not both. They showed only part of it for, I think, Infinity War, because they didn't want people to really know. They wanted, so you have to do the press tour and you have to talk to these people and you don't really know what the movie's about. So that's an interesting thing. So I bet you of course, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. Carlos, did you model your speaking style on Robert Downey Jr.? People say I look like him all the time. Listen, I grew a goatee years ago after being in TV news, and I said I want a goatee because I don't want to have. I just want to have facial hair. And then it turns out, there we go. It turns out that yeah, when I put it on, it looks somewhat. No, I do not purposely try to sound like Robert Downey Jr. This is how I talk. So I don't know. That's just what it is. It's weird. Maybe we're brothers from another mother. Let's see. Eric, I just remember in 2016, you were just like Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler, including the crime aspect. Hey, listen, Nightcrawler is a hell of a movie. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal in that film, that is a performance. That's a performance that really should have gotten him so much more attention when it comes to awards. I mean, that's a cool film. Such a really neat. Listen, I worked in the news business, so to see that news business reflected the way that it was in that film, a little sensational, okay, just a little, but it still has, his performance is so eerie and just creepy that it really works. Nightcrawler's a fantastic film, certainly one of those cult classics, I would say, of the past decade. Nightcrawler's absolutely on there. No Way Home, they didn't show No Way Home early either. They showed No Way Home at the Monday it came out that week. So that'll be the same thing as Doctor Strange. Good point, JT. No Way Home was on that Monday as well. Sony Pictures Films, Bullet Train, Spider-Man. Yeah, I think Bullet Train will be, I like the trailer. I like Brad Pitt. I love Brad Pitt. I'll watch Brad Pitt in anything. In fact, that's my number one thing about the Lost City. The Lost City is a good film when he's in it for the 7 minutes that he's in it. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. He's in it for like literally 7 minutes in the movie, and you sit there and you're like, what the hell happened to Brad Pitt? Well, if you've seen the movie, you know what happened. But when it actually happens, you're like, oh no, you didn't just do that. You did that? No, you ruined the whole movie. Brad Pitt's like, give me my 10 million for being here for 7 minutes. 10 million for 1 day's work, maybe 2 days work. He'll take his 10 and he's out of there. Unbelievable. Carlos, again, thank you. Love your channel. Thank you. Great movie talk. Appreciate that. We're going to do this all the time, especially when we get something new to talk about. That's always great. And the next few weeks should be pretty solid. We did Northmen the other night. We got Unbearable Weight. And then, of course, we got Doctor Strange come up here a few weeks ago. Jedi Cat, good to see you again. Nailed it again. Great discussion. One of my favorite critics. Thank you. See, that's everything. I think we're going to wrap it on that. Thank you, Jedi Cat, because I think ultimately that's what it is find somebody you trust. And that's one thing I think that I will always strive to do is tell my truth. It might not be your truth, but it's my truth about the film. So if I say I love a film, you know, it's not bullshit. I don't have any time for that. I would actually, if I had a director that I really appreciated and I was a friend with and I saw their film and I didn't like it, I would say it maybe not as harshly as I do on Twitter, but I would still say, listen, I think your film would be better with this and this. We need, just be honest, just be real. Those things are important, especially nowadays, right? We can all agree on that. Thank you, guys. That's going to do it for our Midnight Movie Talk on this Wednesday. We'll try to go back here tomorrow for the box office. I think Fantastic Beasts is going to bomb. It is going to flame out hard for Warner Brothers. They didn't even invite me to the screening. But like I said, I'm not watching it. You can't make me watch that movie. Like, subscribe. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk soon.